I took a sip of my coffee and I felt the tears burn, but that well had dried up long ago. I heard William take up his coat. He opened the door, and just like that, I didn't want him to go. "You think this is a love story?" I said. He stopped at the door. "The life I've lived, you think it's something to admire, to aspire to? You think I hoard romanticism within my silence?" He watched me with a look, uncertain if he had offended me or not. "You hope to hear a fairy tale, Mr. Shaw, a Hemingway love lost story. But what you will get is a nightmare." He closed the door. "There are those whose lives are hell," I said. "Hell barely begins to explain what I have lived. The books I wrote were buried beneath the endless screams. Most days I cannot write or think or breathe over the screaming in my head." William dumped his bag on the floor. This time he remained at the door. "You let me in your home," he said. "You agreed to hear me out. You invited me in and you made me coffee. Part of you wants this story told." And he wasn't wrong. I did want the story told. I did want to release a poison inside of me. Something longed to put it out there. I ached to be heard. I've tried so many times before. I'd written the outlines, I'd drawn the plans, I knew exactly what parts to tell and which parts needed to be heard. But it felt selfish. It felt wrong. Part of me ached to do this, and the chance that someone, anyone, would hear me just once. Oh, and how I longed to be heard just once. Perhaps that was why I spoke my mind. I was tired of not being heard. I gazed at the man-boy in front of me. The fire in his eyes confirmed his determination. "It feels selfish," I said, "talking about myself like this." "I'm asking you to do this," he said. "I want to know." "I don't want to." Something in the boy told him to hold his tongue. Now was the time to listen, and for that I was grateful. "I want to bury this inside of me," I said. "You must understand, there's part of me that always longs for death. There are days it hurts so much I cannot get angry. I can never get angry. I won't allow it. I'm afraid of what I would do if I ever got angry." He stared with that look I'd seen so many times, the look everyone gets when they hear pure honesty. People don't hear it often, the innermost thoughts of our psyche. Those are the words we keep secret. Not I. I gazed out the south window across the table. The hills were green and calm, as if they'd suffered and weathered over a lifetime of ancient wars, and endured it all. They did. Today, nothing could bother them. Nothing mattered. Endurance teaches us one thing, if nothing else, to save the calm. Endurance teaches us one thing, if nothing else, to savour the calm after a storm, to savour the lives of those who survived. Hadn't I savoured long enough? Perhaps it was time to reflect. 10 years, I said. For 10 years I have suffocated, yet it feels like a long, slow suffocation. The desperation, the loneliness, the feeling of complete helplessness, the lack of control, the inability to direct my own fate, all of it. You kill everything inside of you. Anything that makes you feel, you destroy, just so you can live without the pain. And after a while, you forget that you feel nothing. You get used to the stare of perpetual numb, and you forget that you aren't feeling. When Jose walked through my front door that night, I saw his hands. His hands. Those hands that I remembered. I never touched him, not then. I had no idea what he would feel like or taste like. I only remembered his hands. We were shaking, like we'd been chained to the sea floor for 10 years, and suddenly we were both being forced to the surface and experiencing the bends. Our bodies shook. We gasped for air, unsure what and how much and what to do with so much air. Our bodies shook and we gasped for air, unsure what to do with so much air. It breathed life into me again. It wasn't lust. It was need. Obsession, perhaps? Relief. So much relief. I didn't fall into his arms. I wasn't calm or content. It was a surge of relief so great that I felt my legs give out from under me, and he caught me. I fell into him and we both broke. Our bodies trembled so violently. We felt brittle and we were certain we would break with how much we shook. Disbelief, constant disbelief. That is what a separation like that feels like. It would take us another 2 years to look at one another and not say, I can't believe you're here. You asked me if we did. Yes, we did, during a December thunderstorm. I should end the story here. If this was a romance, the story would end here. Part of me wants to end the story here, to send you on your way and tell you you have your story, now get out. You'll hear no more from me. That is how I should end this, right now, with Jose and I making love in December rain. That is how it would have ended if... Maybe I'll give you a choice. If you want your happy ending, close this book and stop reading right now. Consider the story over, and we lived happily ever after in New York, and I never went to Ireland. I never had a problem that was too great that Jose couldn't fix. Close the book here and pretend I was never broken.